Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Joe Szymanski of Elections Daily bringing you another candidate interview. Today with me, I have a person running for the Republican nomination for the 50th House District in Virginia, Mike Allers Jr. Mike, thank you for coming on with me today.
Thank you so much, Joe.
So, this first question I asked to everyone, what made you decide to run for delegate?
Well, look, I had to jump in. As a teacher, I see the dangers firsthand on what the Democratic policies have done to our children. They're keeping them home. There's no clear way to get back in school. It's a travesty. So I felt personally responsible that I had to do more than just teach them. I had to advocate for them. I'm also the son of a police officer. And when Lee Carter basically attacked our officers in that incident over the summer, I took great offense to that, and this is not someone that should be serving in the General Assembly. And look, we also need, and the third reason, it's time that the party has young, dynamic voices. We need a fighter going into 2021. Our party needs fighters to take back the House, and I felt like, hey, that's me. So I had to jump in.
Okay, and when did you first decide to get involved in Virginia politics?
I've been involved in Virginia politics since, well, look, I've been a political junkie since 8 years old, but really since 2012. Phone banking for Romney, and then I was an intern in 2013 for Ken Cuccinelli, and then I was a field director on Nick Freitas' first campaign in 2015.
Okay. So the 50th district is one of those Northern Virginia flip districts that flipped in 2017 and that Democrats held in 2019. It's also one of those districts that are getting bluer as we've seen time go on here. But do you think that you are the right candidate to try and flip this seat back into Republican hands?
Absolutely. And it comes with, look, we have to be the party of ideas again, and we have to appeal to new voters. That's voters of color, voters that are Democrats but perhaps might not like Lee Carter's message, or the further their party drifts left, they're going to want to swing right. And they're going to need someone to come to the center, and that person is me. I mean, look, in 2017, I truly believed that the district went blue, as a reaction to the White House. Now that the Democrats are in charge of the White House, that angst might not be there for the Democrats, and I think Republicans have a great opportunity to take back the House because we've seen how the Democrats are governing, and it's not going well.
Okay. So you already mentioned this already. Your opponent would likely be Lee Carter. He has to go through multiple primaries himself. He's running for governor, but he has refiled for his House seat, and he has to get through a primary for that as well. Who, while very controversial, is one of the better fundraisers for the House of Delegates. Are you confident that you can match his fundraising numbers in what will be a very expensive nominating contest?
I mean, absolutely, and I think the party should invest in my race because I truly believe this is the race to crack open Northern Virginia and to start winning again, quite frankly. However, it's interesting that a socialist is going to be raking in more capital than I am, most likely, because they're not going to give that seat up without a fight. Money is important, but I do not believe it's everything, and I'm going to take my message firsthand to the people because he doesn't campaign. He's rarely seen around the community.
Yeah. So you've already mentioned this too, but you're a teacher yourself, and education is the first priority that you listed on your website. What is your plan to change how education is done in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
Well, first of all, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have to lead the nation, okay? And that means we have to completely have a different education system. What we have is not working, especially in the face of the pandemic, okay? This is going to be a huge educational crisis, and we have to get right to the source of the problem. That begins with investing in childcare. And how we do that, Joe, is through using our lottery system to solely fund pre-K, making that crucial investment at such a young age and alleviating that burden of childcare, which is basically a second mortgage off of working moms and working families, is going to be crucial in Virginia leading the way again. We also have to get rid of our SOLs. Okay, our teaching to the test has become so detrimental, and it restricts teachers and it restricts learning in the classroom. And quite frankly, the governor is still going to have the children take the SOLs in one of the most irregular years that has ever been, and it's not fair to them. Oh. And then finally, we have to start preparing our children for not just for college, but for careers, for tech centers, for agriculture, for different professions that you don't necessarily have to have a college degree. So we have to reimagine education in Virginia. We have to start leading the way again.
Okay. So also in your spare time, you've contributed to Bearing Drift, which is a right-leaning news source. So can people in your district be confident that you'll be working for everyone in the district if you're elected delegate, and not just for the Republicans that vote inside of it?
Absolutely. I'm going to do what's best for the people of the 50th. And if what they want is something that, isn't traditionally Republican, that's okay, because I believe in representing all people. And I really feel that too many politicians, once elected, they forget that there's blue or red members of their district. And I'm going to listen to everybody. I think the 50th has a sense of independency. It went traditionally right. It swung socialist. I think the truth of it is everyone's somewhere in the middle. But we're definitely an independent district for sure. And I'll make sure to carry on that spirit once elected.
Okay. So this is a question I'm also asking every candidate for delegate that I talk to. Virginia's legislature is one of the few on the East Coast that is not a full-time legislature. And this is a question that I feel like has come up more in recent years, is transitioning to one. What is your opinion on that? Do you think the Virginia legislature should become one that would work full-time?
I actually do. And here's why. I think, look, do I absolutely believe in term limits? Absolutely. Do I believe that people should go home and work regular jobs after public service? Absolutely. However, what a part-time legislature has allowed is just having lawyers and really wealthy independent businessmen to represent. And look, there's plenty of teachers that have gone in to become elected to the House of Delegates. However, it's harder for us because we're also missing 45 to 60 days of work, as opposed to someone who's a lawyer or businessman who could afford to take that time. So our neighbors to the north in Maryland, they pay like $42,000 a year. I think that's fair. And I think a full-time legislature would allow a more diverse group of candidates throwing their hat in the ring and standing up for their communities.
Yeah. Okay, so Terry McAuliffe is the odds-on favorite to become governor again, not only winning in the Democratic primary, but also in the general election, most analysts believe. But Republicans do still very much have a shot at taking back the House of Delegates. If Republicans retake the majority, but Terry McAuliffe is governor, how would you personally try and work with his second administration?
Well, look, Terry McAuliffe has said, that he wants to invest in pre-K and that he thinks Virginia needs to pay their teachers more. I agree on those as well. Where we differentiate is how to get those things actually done. I don't believe taxpayer dollars should be used to bolster teacher pay or quite frankly to fund pre-K, because there's already funds there and we just need to trim the fat. There's plenty of fat to trim. And for example, Joe, like I said, the state lottery system could be used to 100% fund our pre-K system. Georgia does it. In Tennessee, they use their lottery system to fund community college for all. Virginia could do the same without raising taxes. So can I work with Mr. McAuliffe? Absolutely. But we're going to have some disagreements on how things are paid for, but that's okay. That's governing.
Okay, and this is a question then that I have about the Republican nomination of governor. Obviously, Republicans in Virginia are doing all three of their statewide nominations by convention on May 8th, which is in only a couple weeks now. And the name that most people think that she's not favored, but is definitely still in this race, is Amanda Chase. And she has made lots of comments about false notions about election fraud, comments that some would distinguish as racist, other controversial comments throughout her time these last couple of years. And she's kind of would be seen if she were to somehow get the Republican nomination, she would be a limit up and down the ballot for Republicans. So if she were to get the Republican nomination, would you still endorse her, or would you try and distance yourself from her and her campaign?
Hell no. Because number one, she's not a Republican. She is an independent. so she doesn't deserve the nomination. And number two, I'm going to do me and really focus on the people in my district. And yeah, I mean, her policies do not reflect mine, and her comments do not reflect my beliefs. So yeah, she's not a Republican, and there's several other Republicans that would not stand behind her as well. So that would be a huge mistake.
Would you? So you're saying that other Republicans, you would agree, wouldn't stand behind Amanda Chase if she was the nominee at the convention somehow?
100%. No one's going to do that.
Okay. So then one final question for you then, Mike.
Sure.
What would be the first thing you would propose on the floor as a delegate if you were elected?
Actually, what we talked about, fully funding pre-K through a lottery system, 100%. That the first thing, because here's the thing, Joe, the earlier we can invest in our children, the earlier, especially if there's immigrant children coming in, we could address language concerns, speech concerns, SPED concerns. We can invest using the lottery system. The money's already there. Just fully fund pre-K with it. And that would catch Virginia way up, because we have to remember, pre-K was affected by COVID too. Several pre-K centers were shut down. The cost keeps going up and up. People have to choose between, do I send my kid to childcare or do I save for their college? That's not a choice Virginians should make. So I believe the Republican Party should be the party of education, and I would lead the way forward with that bill. Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank anyone who has been listening when you finally get to this podcast here. And I want to thank, again, it has been Mike Allers Jr. He is one of the Republican candidates in the 50th District. Mike, I once again want to thank you for coming on, and good luck in your primary. And I think a lot of people would guess the general. So good luck, and thank you for coming on with me today.
Thank you so much, Joe.
All right.